What's up, guys? My name's Cody, and this is another UFC betting breakdown, this time for UFC Vegas 20. And pretty good card. We have lost a couple of them, but pretty fun main event. And then I like a couple of these fights on this card. Last week, oh man, I've been talking about it literally all week. Curtis Blades, obviously, getting knocked out. I was big on him. That hurt. Not just my soul, but my bank account. So that wasn't a good one. I still stand by what I said in the last breakdown. Curtis Blades should definitely win the fight. He wins the fight like 8-9 times out of 10. But Derek Lewis is the definition of a puncher's chance. So that came to fruition, I guess. And it happened. So yeah, I mean, that was rough. Definitely hurt some of the bets, but we're looking to get right back in it this week. So let's start this one off. Before I get into it, I'm gonna try to make this a little quicker because I am trying to get these videos a little shorter. Sometimes, man, these, especially the 15 fight cards, just like fucking hour and a half, and I know that's a lot. So I'm gonna try to get these. Find a happy medium between not too short, but still give you my perspective and this and that. So let's move on. Make sure you leave a like on the video. I always forget to say this, and leave me a comment. Let me know what bets you like, dislike, all that good stuff. It really helps, and I appreciate it. We're trying to get to 1,000 subs. I'm almost there. Yeah, appreciate all the help, guys. And first up, we got Dustin Jacoby taking on Maxim Grishin, and Maxim Grishin, we did see up at heavyweight recently. He fought Marcin Tybura, was kind of just out-wrestled. But then he got to fight Gazmir Anagulov, and that kind of hurt too because he had to finish him just a couple minutes too late to get that, to not get the under 1.5, which is a bet we had. Antigulov known. He goes in there and just goes absolute balls to the wall. And if he can't get you out of there in that first, not even round, 3-4 minutes, then you're probably going to finish him. And that's exactly what happened. I wasn't super impressed in that fight, though. Maxim just, I don't know, man. There was some spots where it looked like he was going to, I mean, I won't say he was in trouble, but it was once Antigulov was just flopping around, it would have been nice to see Maxim kind of take over a little easier, a little earlier. But still, second round finish, you can't be too mad at it. And, other than that, he hadn't had the hardest or the toughest fights before then. But he did fight Magomed Ankalaev on the regional scene. So, and I mean, there's some tough guys here. It's just that since he's got to the UFC, and I try to not look too much into that Marcin Tybura fight because he was just massively outsized, and Tybura, underrated heavyweight, and that was a tough stylistic matchup. But taking on Dustin Jacoby, I think Dustin could definitely pose some problems here because while we haven't, I mean, in his UFC debut, he did take Justin Ledet, a super favorable matchup, went in there and pieced him up like we all thought he would, won me some money in that one. But, I see Maxim Grishin, obviously, the huge experience advantage, probably going to have a bit of a wrestling advantage. Probably going to want to look to put him up against the cage. But, man, when they're on the feet, I really do feel like Dustin's going to be able to land the more powerful strikes. I know Maxim has a lot of finishes on his record, or a good amount of finishes, but I don't see a lot of pop to his punches. I feel like Dustin hits a lot harder. The leg kicks are definitely going to be there. And, man, I really feel like Dustin Jacoby is the rightful favorite here. I got Dustin Jacoby. I think if you want to get a better line on that, you could take him by decision because Maxim doesn't get finished. He's a tough guy. It's been a while since he's been finished. And, yeah, he's just durable. But I do think that if he's not able to put him up on the cage, secure a couple takedowns, or at least just get some good cage control in, I do think that Dustin should be able to outland him and, just pick him apart on the feet, land the better shots, and win a decision. I think by decision is plus 200, so that's a pretty good line. And so I'm going to stick Dustin Jacoby by unanimous decision. And let's move on. We got Ronny Lawrence taking on Vince Cachero. And Vince Cachero had a tough fight in his last one. Came in on short notice and fought Jamal Emmers. And while he was, you know, like, you know, he was beat pretty thoroughly, he did show that, like, you know, he's a tough, scrappy dude. And, I mean, his striking's not bad. He mixes it up pretty well. But taking on Ronny Lawrence, like, man, I didn't know too much about Ronny Lawrence until his last fight. But in the Contender Series, he fought Jose Johnson, who came in as a pretty sizable underdog. But I did a little research into him for that fight. Because, like, when I looked into it, I was like, oh, maybe Jose Johnson's going to be a parlay piece. A lot of people were talking pretty highly about him. But luckily, I stayed off that because Ronny Lawrence, man, this guy's got a pretty, like, good style. He's only 6-1, you know, not a ton of experience, but good kicks, like, really good kicks on the outside. Mixes it up well with the hands. It's not that he's not, I wouldn't say like I mean, he's only 6'1", so we could see he still has room to grow. Only 28 years old. We'll see where he's at in like 3 years, but you know, I don't know if he's the most potent finisher, and Vince Cachero's a really tough guy, so I don't know if he'll be able to get Vince out of there, but I do think that his footwork, his movement, he's the slicker guy on the feet. I don't think Vince Cachero's going to be able to take him down. I actually think if anybody gets the takedowns here, it'll be Ronny. He mixes some takedowns in pretty well. Yeah, I mean, just a little bit more tools. He also has hands like Vince Cachero, but maybe Vince hits a little harder, but sorry, I just got a notification that Dustin Poirier is on JRE, so that's fire. Anyways, I just feel like Ronny, just good kick, the mix, he just has more tools. He'll be able to mix in the kicks, probably out volume him, maybe land a takedown or two, which would be good. Just a better wrestler. So give me Ronny Lawrence, and I also think this is a decision. I like some decision props on this card. Out of these first two, I don't have a bet on, but I do think that both of them. Actually, I might end up playing the Jacoby by decision. I don't know if I'll take Ronny Lawrence. Still pretty inexperienced. These are two inexperienced guys. Pretty high, like, you know, it could be a. You never know with these guys who have under 10 fights, but I'm gonna take Ronny Lawrence, and I'm gonna take him by decision. And let's move on to the third fight. Next up, we got Alexis Davis taking on Sabine Mazza. And I like what I've seen so far from Sabine. On a 3-fight win streak. Alexis on a 3-fight losing streak. And she's fighting out of King's MMA. She just came off that win over Justine Kish. And actually got the rear naked choke. Other than that, it's been a lot of decisions. I mean, early in her career, head kicking a couple girls. But, you know, more of a decision girl, obviously. And did fight Shayna Dobson. Took her to decision. JJ Aldrich. Justine Kish. And the Justine Kish, that's a pretty good win. You know, obviously hasn't fought like the who's who yet. But, I mean, obviously, even though Alexis Davis has, definitely on the downward swing. She's 36. And even though she got a good amount of losses here, it's like, look at these opponents. Viviana Rujo, Jennifer Maia, Caitlin Chukagian. Those are three top girls. You know, those aren't easy wins. Even Liz Carmouche, Cindy Dandewis, okay. But then Sarah McMahon, Sarah Kaufman, Ronda Rousey, Jess Guy, Liz Carmouche, Sarah Kaufman, Amanda Nunes, even Tanya Evinger, you know, that she's fought a lot of fucking, the level of competition isn't close. But it's like, you know, Sabine Mazza on the upswing, 23 years old. Alexis Davis on the downswing, 36. Sabina's going to have the more volume. She's going to have the slicker striking. Alexis Davis, obviously the wrestling, the grappling. But if Sabina could get her down, if she could reverse or get on top, Alexis doesn't have the greatest game off her back. I do think Alexis Davis is the first underdog here that I like. I do think she's live. But I just don't like... I went back and watched her last 3 fights, and I get those are pretty tough competition, but I don't know, man. I don't know if she's, like, all the way in right now. And I don't know if I want to step in front of Sabine. I do think this could end up being a little too much too soon, just the experience advantage. So I was tempted to maybe like Alexis Davis by decision. I do think this fight goes to decision. So if you're on either side, maybe you take Sabine by decision. Maybe you take the big underdog shot at Alexis by decision. I think those are good. Like, I'm pretty damn confident that neither of these girls are getting finished. If it's just a matter of, can Alexis get out there and get a couple takedowns? If she does, I think she's gonna win the fight pretty thoroughly. But if not, I think Sabine on volume, just gonna pepper her. I don't see her getting her out of there. So fight goes to decision. The over, they're gonna be juiced. Maybe you just pick a side and you take them by decision. But I'm going to move on to this next fight. This next one's a banger. One of my favorites on the card. We got Alexander Hernandez taking on Thiago Moraes. And, man, this is going to be pretty good. I mean, Alexander Hernandez, everybody's heard the story, was trained out of a little gym in Texas, was the big dog in the gym, kind of carried into his stint. And when he first came to the UFC, really cocky guy, came in, fought Dariush in his debut, which is a tough-ass debut, knocked him out in the first round. Then he went in there, had a decent performance against Oliver Abreu-Mercier, won by decision. Then went in there and talked a gang load of shit against Donald Cerrone, and it did not pay off. That shit blew up in his face, and I'm not going to lie, it made him a little bit the laughingstock of, like, the MMA community. He was the guy to kick while he was down for a little bit, and hey, honestly, he put it on himself a little bit with, you know, when you talk a lot of shit against a guy like Donald Cerrone, who's not only beloved, but an absolute veteran in the sport, you're going to definitely catch some flack. But he did get back on the train with the Francisco Trinaldo win, even though, you know, it was not his, you know, I mean, beating Trinaldo is good, especially for your third fight in the UFC, well, fourth fight, but, you know, got back in there with Drew Dober and got knocked out again, and, you know, you can't give him too much shit for that. People don't understand. Drew Dober's a lot better than his record. He's, honestly, he can knock out anybody, and, you know, in his last performance, Alexander Hernandez, you know, the Chris Gutzmacher win, obviously that was a pretty favorable matchup, but, you know, it does seem like he's adding some new wrinkles to his game. The cardio's never been, like, a strength of his, and you got to think Factory X, Muay Thai, with a guy who, with like, the aspirations he has, he's got to be, like, training hard, adding new things to his game, and I do think that he's got to know that the gas tank, if there's a way Thiago Moraes wins this, is getting him down late in the fight. I don't know if Thiago can actually wrestle him enough to win 2 rounds, and he's not going to, I mean, I'll be really surprised if he could win 2 rounds without just doing it with control and submission attempts, but, you know, it's the real question is, do you think Thiago is going to be able to submit him? And I don't think so. I think Alexander should be able to land a couple takedowns, land the better shots on the feet, and just stay out of trouble with the submissions. The big thing is if he were to gas late, you know, that Thiago sub is going to be live, but you know, I tend to think that he's going to be able to stay out of trouble. Thiago Moraes not the greatest on the feet. You know, it does seem like it got in the Bobby Green fight, it was decent. I didn't think he won that fight, but, you know, overall, I just think Alexander Hernandez, more tools, better weapons. If anybody gets a finish, well, I won't say that because, again, if there is a way Moraes wins, it could be I would say it would be Hernandez slowing down towards the end, getting caught in the submission. But overall, man, I got Hernandez. I don't know if I would take a prop on this because he likes to come in hot. But Moraes, a tough guy to finish. So it's like, you could see him gas and Moraes take over, but I'm going to take Alexander Hernandez. I think rather than maybe take a prop, you maybe just add him into like a 2-fighter parlay, 3-fighter parlay. But I am going to take Hernandez, and I think I'm leaning actually towards decision. So let's move on to the 5th fight of the night. We got Alex Caceres taking on Kevin Kroom. And this is an interesting fight, man. Alex Caceres got some good hype right now. He's coming off a couple of decent wins. I mean, the Austin Springer win, choked him out. You know, not super high on Austin Springer, not to be disrespectful. And then Chase Hooper, it's like, we should have saw going into that. That was a pretty bad matchup for Chase Hooper. So much experience advantage. Chase Hooper, great jiu-jitsu, but not great wrestling. Couldn't get the fight to the mat and just got pieced up. And Chase Hooper showed a lot of toughness, showed a lot of durability in that fight. Because a lot of people would have got finished. Not that Caceres has the heaviest hands, but he was eating shots. And he just stuck in there. And Caceres looked good, you know. We know what he's good at this point. He's, you know, damn near 30 fights in the UFC. Professionally. We know what he does. He likes those kicks on the outside. His defense is pretty solid on the feet. The movement, the footwork. Yeah, I mean, training out of the MMA lab. He's definitely, you know, a pretty solid fighter, and his style can present a lot of problems for certain guys. Steven Peterson, Chase Hooper, Austin Springer, you know, it's not the toughest of competition. I can kind of see that. But with Kevin Kroom, I think a lot of people are counting him out. I'm surprised his line hasn't been, like, closing in, because Kevin Kroom, while, you look at this record, you're like, okay, wins and losses, not over a lot of notable guys, but I don't know, man. I mean, you actually watch his fights, it's like, his style is, he comes at you, man, and I really think that, like, guys with a style like Kevin Kroom can give Alex Caceres problems because Caceres likes to keep it pretty, keep you on the outside, kick you on the outside, like turn into a kickboxing match. Kevin Kroom's not about that, man. And I'm not just saying that because he rushed forward and beat Roosevelt Roberts in 30 seconds, rocked him, and then guillotined him, even though it did turn to a no contest because Kroom popped for weed. Stupid, but stupid the rule, not Kevin Kroom for smoking weed as a professional athlete. I just feel like Kevin Kroom's going to be in Caceres' face. I actually think he could land some big shots. He's got more power. He's just so scrappy. He's not going to let Caceres just stay on the outside. And I really think for plus 170, there's a lot of value on Kroom right now because if he gets to the mat, we've seen Caceres have, path to victory, get this guy, take his back, submit him. I could see Kroom doing that. I could see Kroom landing something big on the feet, hitting another guillotine. I could see a lot of ways that Kroom wins this fight, especially for plus 170. He's just a scrappy, tough dude, and he seems super hungry, super ready. He didn't get his shot in the UFC for a long time. And you got Caceres. Yeah, he is coming off 3 wins, but, he does seem like he's kind of reached a point where he is, like, coming into his own a little bit. This is the best we've seen him, but I just feel like, I don't know, the hungrier guy, the guy who's going to get in his face, throw big shots. If he gets to the mat, he's got an advantage there. I've been seeing people say that it's going to cancel out because Caceres is pretty good on the mat. I don't see it. I mean, he's not terrible on the mat. He trains at a good gym, but that's not his strength. If you can get on top of Caceres, if you can take his back, I mean, we've seen time and time again you can get this guy out of there. So I like Kevin Kroom. If it was even, maybe not. I wouldn't play it. At least, I can tell you that, but plus 170 is a lot of value on Kroom, and I haven't done it yet, but I really do think that I'm going to see. I want to see the weigh-ins, but I do think that I'm going to take a shot on Kevin Kroom, because I really think that those odds are a little off, and we might be have a little recency bias with that minus 210 Alex Caceres. Moving on, we got Angela Hill taking on Ashley Yoder in a rematch. And in the first fight, we had Angela Hill. She did get taken down a couple times, worked her way back to the feet, landed, just out-volumed her, did what she does. In this fight, coming in as a 4-1 favorite, biggest favorite on the card. And I've been seeing a lot of people taking shots on Ashley Yoder, and I get it. I get it because, Ashley Yoder, of course, hasn't fought the same level of competition, training out of Team Quest, coming off that win over Miranda Granger. Before that, the Liviana Souza, the Ronda Marcos losses, going to decision. All these fights are going to decision. One win via armbar, and then a win back in 2015 via armbar, and then just a rack of decisions. Literally just 4 armbars in her career, and the rest all decisions. It's pretty crazy. She's definitely a durable girl. That pesky armbar from guard is out there, and damn, man, plus 300 currently. I do think there's value here because Angela Hill, man, she just finds her way into close decisions all the time. I even think there's really value at Ashley Yoder by decision because she's not going to knock Angela Hill out. Maybe you got to worry about that armbar from guard. That would be the only thing you got to worry about because I would not be surprised if Ashley Yoder took a split decision. I mean, it would almost be crazy at this point because it's like the story of Angela Hill's career. Just like getting into these close decisions and then being on the wrong side of them. But I don't know, man. I just think that like we could see. I mean, I just don't think when that fight happens, Angela Hill's going to look like a 4-1 favorite. I do think she should be able to land the better volume and just, if she gets taken down, she's pretty good. While her takedown defense might not be the best, she's pretty good at getting back to her feet, and she did it in the first fight, and I can understand why she's a favorite. I literally think she should be like minus 200, minus 220. But minus 400, it's like, man, I don't really like to bet on these like middling women's fights because it's just so volatile, but it's like tempting, man. Plus 300 when I almost know the fight's going to decision. And it's a women's MMA fight where it's going to be largely based off volume. Obviously, I do think Angela has the the advantage for the volume. But, man, it was not a crazy... I would not be at all surprised if Ashley won a decision here. And that's why I am going to take Angela Hill by decision, but I think there's a lot of value on Ashley, and I would totally understand it if you bet it. I might end up doing it myself. I want to see the weigh-ins again for that one. Getting into this fight, we got Pedro Munhoz taking on Jimmy Rivera. And, man, a lot of you guys know I'm big on Jimmy Rivera. I really think that this guy is, like, a lot better than some people may think. You can look at his losses: Peter Yan, Aljamain Sterling, Marlon Moraes. I think the Marlon Moraes fight got knocked out in 30 seconds. I think that was just, like, some freak shit that happens in MMA. And then you lose to Peter Yan. You know, it was a close fight. In both the first 2 rounds, he's winning the rounds until, like, the very end. And he gets clipped. And Peter Yan steals the round. And obviously that's fighting, but, you know, it's not like he went in there and got his ass whooped. He looked good in that fight. And even in the Aljamain Sterling fight, it's like you see his skills. Not a finisher. You know, 5'4", really, you know, small guy for the division, or short guy for the division, because he's definitely a tank. But, you know, so a lot of his punches end up coming short. He's got to work the kicks. He does like to throw kicks. And obviously the wrestling's strong. He likes to put you up on the cage, make it dirty. His boxing actually is pretty good. He has some power in his hands. It's just the finishes don't really come to fruition because, like, you know, that the reach is so short and he doesn't fully exert himself. He's a defensive fighter. It's just not really his style. And when he's taking on Pedro Munhoz, a lot of people think is like crushing finisher, but, you know, I wouldn't say he's a huge finisher either. You know, he knocked Cody Garbrandt out after Cody Garbrandt just kind of went into kill mode and ate that headbutt. Cody Garbrandt did, and then got up and then just went to like fucking fight or flight mode, and then he got knocked out, and that happens. That's how Cody Garbrandt's lost his fights. But, man, the Frankie Edgar fight, while I do think Pedro won that fight, he outlanded him by like 40 strikes, and that doesn't tell everything, but I honestly think he also landed the better strikes, so it was like a little weird. It's just judges, they don't always score those low kicks as well, and I don't know, man. I feel like in this fight, I mean, we've already seen, I didn't mention this, it's a rematch as well. Jimmy Rivera won by decision in the first fight, and while I do think Munhoz is going to have the volume advantage, he's going to just throw more. Jimmy Rivera, never known to throw a lot of volume. Also, don't think he's going to finish him. But I just feel like Jimmy Rivera is going to do the more, he's going to land the more impactful shots. I don't think Pedro can take him down. I definitely don't think Pedro can submit him. He has a wicked guillotine, but I just don't see it happening. Jimmy Rivera, tough guy to finish, man. Super durable, super tough. I just feel like this is going to play out mostly on the feet, like 80% on the feet. Jimmy going to be able to put him up against the cage. Pedro probably will come out with some good low kicks, calf kicks, but I just feel like Jimmy, man, he's super slept on. Like, he only loses the who's who of the division. And Marlon Moraes, he got clipped by the head kick, and then Peter Yan and Aljamain Sterling, arguably 1 and 2 in the division. And I really feel like you put Jimmy Rivera in against anybody else, and he's going to beat him. And if you can't go in there and decisively... I love Frankie Edgar. Who the fuck doesn't love Frankie Edgar? He's an absolute legend. But if you can't go in there and win a decisive decision against him, I just don't see... And I know styles make fights, but I just... like that does not like make me want to bet you against a guy like Jimmy Rivera. So give me Jimmy Rivera. I think if you want to get a better price, you can get him at like even money if you take him by decision. And I think that's a good bet, and I'm going to be placing that bet. Moving on, we got Montana De La Rosa taking on Myra Bueno Silva. And I'm not going to talk too much about this fight because this is just a pass in my eyes. I do think Montana De La Rosa, you know, I like what I've seen from her, even though they haven't, you know, she's been fighting the lowest end of the UFC with Mara Borella, Viviana Rujo, pretty tough, but Mara Borella, Andrea Lee, Nadia Kassem, Rachel Ostovich, like, you know, not the toughest fights. And then we got Myra Bueno Silva. You know, at least she fought Jillian Robertson. And you know, Myron Moroz, you know, pretty tough girl. She also fought Mara Borella. Got that basically pulled guard and got the armbar. I do think Myra is going to have the jiu-jitsu advantage, but the wrestling isn't all the way there. She resorts to pulling guard, and, you know, if she gets it there, the armbar is definitely live. She probably has a little bit more power in her hands, a little bit better striking overall, even though Montana's does seem to be getting better. She's super tough and durable and throws good volume. I don't know, man. This is just a pass for me. If anything, it would be dog or pass. Like, if anything, I would look at Montana to just keep it on the feet, not fall for that guard pull shit, stay on the feet, land more volume. She's super tough. She comes forward even when she's getting clipped. I think Montana is live here, but there's not enough juice on that. So I'm going to stay off of it. I'll take Montana. I'll take another dog on this one and take Montana by decision, but I'm not going to play it. Moving on, we got the co-main event. We got Nikita Krylov taking on Magomed Ankalaev. And y'all know as well, I'm super high on Magomed Ankalaev. This dude is a beast. He's super just good everywhere. I was huge on him in both the Kudalaba fights. Won me some good money. And made it look pretty easy in the last fight. Just made it look like there's levels to it. The striking's good. Power in his hands. Good boxing. Good kicks. Good defense. Good wrestling. Good cage game. Good on top. Good pressure on top. Good, you know. He's a good mixed martial artist, man. This dude's just a beast. And the only fucking chink in his armor we saw was getting triangle choked with 1 second left by Paul Craig. And I'm sorry, but I have a little bit skeptical hippo. Like, yo, was there like some weird Russian? He had to fucking take a dive because, like, did his corner not say, like, when Paul Craig put him in the triangle with like seconds left, like, yo, 3 seconds. Just fucking go to sleep if you have to. And I'm not talking out of my ass. I've been put to sleep 5-6 times in my life. You wake up a couple of seconds later, you're good. I'm not questioning the toughness. I'm literally saying, did he take a dive? If not, is his fight IQ a little bit questionable? Is his corner IQ a little... Like, dude, you gotta feel for the guy if his corner wasn't screaming, 10 seconds, 5 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds. Don't fucking tap to a... I'm sorry. You don't tap to a triangle in 1 second. I'm telling you, nothing is going to happen. You aren't going to die. Worst case scenario, you're going to get put to sleep for like a couple seconds. You're going to get up. You're going to be good. That triangle was latched onto his neck for like 2 seconds. Like, man, that just like broke me to see. Like, it was happy to see for Paul Craig. But man, Jesus, you don't like to see anybody go out like that. And that's his only loss. And, I mean, you know, Marcin Prachnio, Clison Abreu, Dalcha Lugmenbula. I always fuck that one up. And Ion Kudalaba twice. It's not like these are, like, highest of caliber opponents. But, man, I like what I see at Ankalaev. He's just so well-rounded and good everywhere. Nikita Krylov, good ground game, good submissions, power in his hands. But, I don't know, man. I wouldn't bank on Krylov to be able to pull something off his back. Obviously, we did see Paul Craig do it, but that's Paul Craig's thing. Like, he's got a wicked triangle, man. And, like, Krylov, he's got a nasty guillotine. He's got a good jiu-jitsu game, but I wouldn't bank on the guy to be able to pull something off his back. And I think that's exactly where he's going to go. And on the feet, I definitely got Magomed all day. It's not that I don't like Krylov. Like I said, he's got power in his hands. You know, he's a game opponent. He's going to come forward. He's definitely scrappy, and you can't give him too much shit for losing to Glover Teixeira and Jan Blachowicz, championship-level opponents. Even Misha Serkinov. Those are 3 fucking tough guys. You know, definitely, like, has some good experience with that. But, I don't know, man. I just feel like Magomed, like, literally, other than that 1 second left triangle, I've just loved what I've seen from the guy. Like, he's so good. He's so well-rounded. And plus, minus 370 is a tough price, but I still think he's a parlay piece. And I mean, I wouldn't go too heavy on him because that is a fucking heavy price. If it was like minus 300, high 200s, I'd be all over that. I'd put him in like 3 parlays. But I probably will put him in like 1 parlay because I do think that he should get it done. I'm going to be mad at myself if I don't put a little money on him. I just think he's the better fighter. And I do like Krylov. Again, he's lost to Serkinov, Teixeira, and Jan Blachowicz. You cannot give him shit for that. Those are 3 fucking championship level, well, at least with Jan and Glover, championship level opponents. But I gotta go Magomed for sure. And I wouldn't take a prop on this because I genuinely think he could win by... I mean, I don't think he submits Krylov, but I think he could knock him out, and I think he could win a decision. I wouldn't be absolutely shocked if he submitted him, but Krylov... You know, pretty good jiu-jitsu game, pretty good jiu-jitsu defense. I don't think that'll happen, but let's get into this main event. We got Jairzinho Rozenstruik taking on Cyril Gane. And Man, Cyril Gane, only 7-0, but I do like what I've seen from him so far. Probably the biggest heavyweight prospect we got right now. And I get why people are high on him. The only thing is, man, minus 265 is scary to me. 7-0. Like, and I know, y'all heard, like, while I like what I see so far from Cyril, I honestly haven't been a huge, like, fan of Rozenstruik. Now, I like the guy. He seems like a cool guy, but in the cage, like, you know, beating Junior Albini and Alan Crowder, okay, like, that doesn't really tell me much. And he did knock out Andre Arlovski, who, you know, has shown he's been tough to finish, but, you know, like, lately in his career. But especially to knock out, like, he's shown durability, but, you know, if you have a ton of power, that's one thing Rozenstruik has is a ton of power. You can get him out of there. And same with Alistair Overeem. When he got in there with Francis, obviously, okay, that can happen. And you get in there with Francis, you can get knocked out. But it was really like the Alistair fight, man. He was getting taken down. He was getting outstruck. He was getting beat. Like, and I think that some people might overestimate it. Like, I do think it was a little closer than I've heard some people say. Like, Rozenstruik might have won 2 rounds, even though I thought it was 3-1. You could argue it was 2-2 going the 5th. But I don't know, man. Like, going into the Francis fight, I was really high on Francis. I was not at all surprised when Francis got him out of there. And I just feel like Junior Dos Santos, Overeem, Arlovski, even like Crowder and Albini, like it's his power has got him through, and his power is going to be what he needs in this fight. He's just going to have to land a bomb, because if he doesn't, I really feel like Cyril Gane, he's just going to be able to land kicks on the outside, put him up against the cage. He's going to be the better grappler. He doesn't have like outstanding wrestling, but I do think he can mix it a couple takedowns. I do think if it gets to the mat, he's a submission threat over Rozenstruik. I think he could land some good ground and pound. He's just got more tools. So I do think Cyril Gane should be the favorite in this fight. But I think minus 265 is a stretch. I think maybe like minus 200. Minus 200, he would be on a parlay for me. But, man, Rozenstruik is live here. Like, he's live here because Cyril Gane has 7 fights. And he hasn't really, like, I mean, he hasn't fought. He's like, fought, what, like 2 tough opponents, you know, Tanner Boser. You could give him credit for that one, but I love Tanner Boser, and I'm, like, really rooted for him, but, you know, I do think he's a little hyped. And then the JDS fight, you know, obviously Rozenstruik knocked him out too, but, you know, again, like, if you have a lot of power, you can catch this guy. But, you know, before then, it's like, okay, the Pessoa sub, that's pretty good, but, you know, it's just Dontal Mays, Hager Souza, like, there's not like there's a whole lot to see. So it's like, I do think training out of MMA Factory, he's probably going to keep getting better, and he's young. He's 30 for a heavyweight. That's very young. I do think Cyril Gane has more tools, and he should be able to win this fight. But, man, it's just a little sus paying minus 265 on a guy with 7 fights at a heavyweight fight. I mean, I would not be at all surprised, especially the way this year started off with Rozenstruik down a round or 2, and then he just lands a bomb and knocks Cyril Gane out. I mean, or later in the fight, I mean, we've clearly seen his power. He can carry his power. Knocked Alistair Overeem's face off with like seconds left in the fight. So I got Cyril Gane. I think he's going to win this fight. I think he'll get him out of there maybe by like a late finish, because I don't think this fight's going to go 25 minutes. I do think it'll go the over 1.5, but I don't think it'll go 25. I am going to take Cyril Gane, but, man, I see y'all taking bets on Rozenstruik, and I get it. He's a live underdog here for sure. And, shit, maybe you just take him by knockout because, I mean, honestly, I don't really think he'd win a 25-minute decision over Cyril Gane. Just not going to throw enough volume. But, I mean, he would have to, like, get a couple knockdowns. I just don't see that happening. Cyril Gane coming in with, like, a solid 5-inch reach advantage, throws more volume, good kicks, better wrestling and grappling game. He should be winning on the cards. He just has to avoid the big punches. So I'm going to take Cyril Gane by a late finish. And that's going to wrap up the card, man. I will tweet out all my bets. It's kind of late in the week, so I'm not going to do like a little quick video. I'm just going to, that's why I made this one a little quicker. Gave out some of the props I like. I like Dustin Jacoby by decision. That's a good bet. I like Alexander Hernandez as a parlay piece. I like Kevin Kroom as an underdog. I didn't bet this, but I do think Ashley Yoder's a live dog. Maybe you take her by decision. I like Jimmy Rivera by decision. I'll be playing that. I'm passing on this fight, but I do think Montana's a live dog. I like Ankalaev as a parlay piece, so I'm probably going to be parlaying Ankalaev and Hernandez up. Might figure out some other ways to do it. I'm going to tweet it out. Yeah, I like Cyril Gane, but I'm not going to be playing that because I think the line is too wide. So those are going to be my thoughts on this card. We lost some fights I had a couple bets on, but I was big on Randy Brown this week, not just because he's my boy, because I really think he was going to go in there and do work, probably going to get Cowboy out of there, but we're going to have to wait for that one. So make sure you leave a like, leave a comment, let me know what you think, and shit, man, I appreciate you guys watching. I'll be live for the fights as always, so come through on Twitch and hang out. Shit, other than that, man, enjoy the fights, make some money. Hopefully, I'm going to pick my spots carefully on this card. Next card should be a little easier to find spots. This one's a little bit more low-key, but I will be tweeting out my bets. Let's make some money. Shit, yeah. Come say what's up, and appreciate you guys. Peace.